Good morning, all. Rainy, balmy day in Atlanta. Excellent day for a walk. Well, I hope everyone had a happy new year. This way. Hope everybody got some nice presents for Christmas and got a little bit of time off, and everybody's having a good day. So, time for new things, new life, better opportunities. Time to look forward to how to use your selfie stick. Whoa, what's going on here? Okay, this isn't working right. Shit. Okay, there we go. Not quite sure what's going on here. All right, that's better. I haven't been using my selfie stick for a while. Anyway, the subject of today's video is how to treat retiring presidents. I've gotten quite a few messages towards the end of the year, and got quite a few messages in October and November. I guess this was a thing. Maybe clubs were trying to get ready for the new year, or perhaps it's just that's when things cycle around. But there's a lot of questions I'm getting from founders and retiring presidents who are, well, they're basically going through hell in their motorcycle clubs. And there's this thing that happens when there is a transfer of power. And that thing is what to do about the guy who's out of power, especially when he's been in power for a long time, sometimes decades, sometimes 20, 30 years in the case of some of these founders, or even longer. And so a lot of these guys are writing me and asking me questions about what's the protocol about how you deal with these folks. How come I'm no longer being respected or being treated properly? And a lot of times what I hear is, after all I have given, after all I have dedicated, after giving my life to this, I can't believe these folks are going to treat me like this. And I can tell you that, being a recently retired national president, I feel you. I definitely feel you. I get you. And I'm going to try to take a few minutes to talk about this. And I hope for some of you it brings some relief. For others of you it won't. But it is a subject. And I see it in almost every motorcycle club. And I think that I could say a few things first off. It really depends on, I see you, Ironhead. Catch up with you later. It really depends on kind of a few things as to how you're treated when you go out. And it really depends on whether you were a controversial figure while you were in office, or if you were a loved figure, if you were a superstar, or if you were incompetent. if you treated people like you wanted to be treated, or if you were some sort of tyrant, or if you were perceived as a tyrant, if you were a wishy-washy kind of person or political backstabber. A lot of this has to do with how you're going to be treated when you leave office. And it also depends on whether you step down or you were the result of a coup or an overthrow. These are the things that are going to determine how you're going to be treated. And one of the reasons I started doing this channel is because I was able to see throughout my involvement in my motorcycle club a few things. And one of the reasons I started the channel was I felt like we had too much turnover, way too much turnover. The Black Sabbath Motorcycle Club kept producing the most incredible citizens of other to be in other motorcycle clubs. Well, when every motorcycle club wanted an ex-Black Sabbath, that guy knew how to ride in the pack. He knew how to ride his motorcycle. He knew all about club culture. He knew about club history. These are things we taught. But we weren't able to, we just kept losing so many people. And they would go and be the most incredible citizens of other motorcycle clubs, the hardest riders, the most dedicated. And a lot of times what we would hear back from those guys was, dang, Black Dragon, this new club I'm in is no different. I should have stayed in the Black Sabbath. And so it dawned on me that I wasn't doing well in teaching the components of MCing and staying in the MC, and I needed to start teaching guys how to MC before they found out how to do it better, or how it went in other motorcycle clubs. How do we keep them here? That's one of the reasons I started this channel. And I began to realize early on, people see the grass is greener on the other side. The grass ain't greener nowhere else. And people, they don't understand that when they first get sold onto becoming a biker in a club, when they first get sold on the idea, they a lot of times they have this idea that the club is some sort of answer to all their questions, an answer to all their troubles. And when they find out the club's not the answer to their troubles, they become disillusioned. They want to go elsewhere. When they get to the other place, they find out, well, damn, this was no different than where I was. So now they have what I call club maturity. And that's why you see them 2 or 3 clubs later, like, okay, well, I'm here now. I might as well stay. So we wanted to teach them a few things with these videos. One is that I wanted to teach is that it's all about the club. If you're looking to get a return from the club equal to what you put in, you're going to be very dissatisfied. Your heart is going to be broken. And this is when I say ask what you can do for the club. You know, President Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but rather what you can do for your country. And that's so corny and so lame, but so real. Because it works on the basic principle of physics. The reason that there is not now, nor will there probably ever be, a perpetual motion machine. And when you think about a perpetual motion machine, it's a machine that you could start in motion and it would be able to work forever on the power it generated for itself. And the basic reason that doesn't work is because physics-wise, I'm no physics major, but physics-wise, it takes more work to make something happen, and that work is greater than what it takes to get a product. So if you want to go uphill, You have to exert more energy, and that energy has to come from someplace else. So if you have a perpetual motion machine that is generating the same energy, it will never generate enough energy to keep moving. And the motorcycle club works the same way. In other words, you got to put more in than you're going to get out. That's that's the thing about work. It requires more energy to function, more energy to make things happen. So when you're looking for the MC to give you exactly what you put in it, you're going to be horribly disappointed. You're going to be, um, come on. You're going to be, you're going to be disappointed because you're going to find that no matter how much you look for that return, it's not going to come back. So then we want to teach the idea of giving because it's the right thing to do. And by getting your pleasure out of the fact that you know you did the best for the MC because it was the right thing to do, not necessarily because you were expecting this magnificent return. So I say that to presidents too. All that was to say to retiring presidents that when you get upset that these guys have not given you what it is that you feel like you're supposed to have in terms of respect and honor and loyalty and recognition in your retiring years, try not to become disheartened. This is how that was supposed to be. You're never going to get work back. You're not going to get it back exactly as you gave it. Now, sometimes there's a profit. Sometimes you can put into something and you generate from it more. That's business. That's how business works, that you are able to put in enough work such that the business will continue to generate. But typically you still have to add more pieces to it. More members, more employees, whatever it takes to make it happen. So these are the things that that I want you to know. So when we come back to the whole thing, like, how am I supposed to be treated as a retired person? Well, a couple things. If you're not being treated correctly, you're not being treated how you feel like you should be treated, understand that it might not ever happen. You might not ever get treated like you think you're supposed to be treated. That might be a fleeting thing. And a lot of times it goes directly back to what kind of leader you were or what kind of dirtbags you let be in your organization. And sometimes you get to find out later the price of growing too fast, the price of taking just anybody in your motorcycle club, the price of surrounding yourself with yes men, where you surrounded yourself with the same kind of jerks that you are. And so when you taught them how to disregard the bylaws and you taught them how to be selfish and you rewarded them for following you and not for following the bylaws, then you absolutely cannot be surprised when those are the same kind of people you train, they become the same kind of people you are, or the same kind of person you were. So when they finally get rid of you, when they finally overthrow you, when they finally put you down like a rabid dog, you really shouldn't be all that hurt nor all that surprised. That is called karma. And it's how things like these happen. What goes around comes around. That's the big ugly hurt, as you can say. And it's ugly and it hurts. It's ugly and it hurts. So so we see this in things like people don't want to recognize your retirement patch. A lot of times when you see a guy that's got retired founder, retired president, retired national president, a lot of times you see that, and you see that in some clubs, and then some clubs don't allow that. A lot of times a guy will come up to me and say, they won't allow me to blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times it comes directly as a result of like I said before, the kind of people that were in your club, or how you left office. If you are concerned about how you should be treated when you leave office, if you're a president, you have to get that in place before you leave office. You have to get that in the bylaws. That because once you've left office, like nothing, what you have to say might not have any credibility anymore, might not have any weight anymore. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you've been in charge for so long. And every day you're not in charge takes you further away from when you were in charge. Your influence wanes. So the day after you leave office, you're much more powerful than 50 days later, or 100 days later, or 700 days later. So it can throw your sense of ego right out over the hill, just really destroy you. So a couple things, with few exceptions, almost nobody is president forever. Now, I've known a few motorcycle clubs where a guy was the founder and died as president, but just a very few. In most cases, it don't matter if it's 10 years, 20, or 50. There's going to be a day where you're not the boss anymore. And how you're treated will almost be a direct reflection of how you led. And I don't mean if you were a bad leader. You could have been a great leader. But like I say, some of the mistakes we make, like trying to grow the club too fast, putting in officers that we don't train properly, or even worse, growing the club without ensuring the integrity of the people that you're bringing in. That's one of the worst ones. Like one of the reasons that prospecting is so important is that you want to weed out the kind of people that don't belong in the club. But sometimes we make those decisions. We just want to grow. That's what we're trying to do. And in that spirit of trying to grow so much, we lose out on selecting good people. So then you get replaced by an ungrateful, unqualified kind of person. And you're upset, you're mad. But really, it comes back to your leadership. Another problem, presidents, retiring presidents that have been around for a while. Another problem is that you don't know how to fire people. You let people stay around way longer than they should have been around. They make the kind of mistakes that they should be fired for, and you just let them hang out. And that snake, that monster that you couldn't fire, now that monster's firing you. You know, Donald Trump was somebody that we all thought was a great firer of people. He had a whole channel. You're fired. But one of the biggest problems he's ever had was that he can't really fire people. It always comes back to bite him. bite him in the rump. Somebody's writing a book about him. Somebody's saying this about him, that about him. He lets people stay around that don't follow his opinion, lets them stay around too long. So now this person is quitting in such a way that it's made to damage him, to damage what he's doing. And he's not the only president. I've known a few. One of the biggest problems that Barack Obama had was when General Mattis, he had to turn around and fire that cat. But he managed to get him fired. I say all that to tell you that one of the toughest things that there is to do in the world is fire somebody, especially a popular someone who might take half the club with him. But so you might step back, you might pause before you knock their head off. You might let them get away with too much, and then you look around, and they're in charge, and they're running the club into the ground. A lot of times, we have people that we can't fire because we love them. My brother's a meth head and does not deserve to be the VP. He has poor skills and poor interactions with people, but he's my blood. So we let things come around into our MC conversation, into our MC question, and it's not about the MC. It's about all that other gobbledygook. And so now here you are on the outs. So should a president be allowed to wear a retired president's patch? Well, certainly. Certainly he should. But that is all about how your bylaws are. Should a president be allowed to wear a retired founder patch? Should a person be able to have a lifer patch on? Certainly. I just got a question from a president, like I say, like late November, and I told him I was going to make this video, and I'm answering your video now, and he was saying, I want to know the protocol. I want to know if it's protocol for me, because obviously his club was giving him hell about wanting to wear a retired patch. And it really kind of, I think it's absolutely lousy for a club to ask a leader who has exemplified himself and exemplified the MC and built the MC. I think it's absolutely terrible, horrendous, that you wouldn't let him wear an object of pride to display to all what his standing had been and what he had done for the motorcycle club. And it is certainly within MC protocol for people to wear that. I see that on motorcycle clubs all over the place. But I also see clubs that say, once you are no longer in that position, you go back to all regular patches. You go back to the standard MC patch, and it doesn't matter how long you were in office. I think that's kind of silly. A guy that was a national president for 10 years, you're going to make him go back and wear a local chapter patch. To me, that's kind of silly. It kind of takes away from, to me, it makes you look silly in front of other motorcycle clubs. What do you guys got going on that you don't want to respect your leaders and your founders and the people that have put it down for MC? Because anybody that's been in that position knows exactly what it takes to stay there. They know exactly the sacrifices. They know how many wives and girlfriends and fiancés you lose. They know how many promotions you don't get on the job. They know how many times you might have your life on the line. They know everything you got to go through. All the screwed up meetings with dominant motorcycle clubs pushing you around. They know all the threats you've had and sacrifices. Anyone that's been in that position, they know that. So for them to try to deflate your bubble, deflate your star, take the shine off of you. And a lot of times it happens the guy who's replacing you. The guy who's replacing you is facing a person, big shoes they know they cannot fill. And they feel inferior. They feel inferior in those shoes. And so one of the first things they try to do is mute your ass, mute your star. Every time you walk in the door, people are screaming. When they walk in the door, people are not even noticing them. And folks, sometimes they believe that they can walk into your star, walk into your position, and take over what you've built. Anyone can take the reins of a winning team. That doesn't mean you can build one. But once the program's running, anyone can take the reins. The problem is that some of these guys want to be what they think you are so bad, they want to mute you. And as a president, as a retiring president, you got to understand, sometimes they're trying to mute me. They're trying to mute what I've done so that they can shine. And they're going to do everything in their power to mute your ass. I say hold tight, brother. Hold tight. Eventually, it shall come to pass that folks know who you were. Because anybody that's incompetent, their incompetence will eventually display itself. Auntie Squirrely says, why shouldn't a retired president or founder wear that special patch? In my opinion, they absolutely should. And as I have said, there is plenty of examples in the MC world of clubs that are proud of their founders. They give them special designation, like father or godfather. They will always treat them in an exemplary fashion. But then there are those clubs that, for whatever reason, they don't like who led them before. And it's always the same stuff. The person was a thief or a cheat, or they did this, that, or the other. And enough of the club believes that. I remember there's this one club, 20 years ago, this guy was the president, club here in Atlanta. And then all the young guys come. And when the young guys come, they come with their young ideas, and they bring their friends. And people don't ever vote for what's best for the MC. They vote for what's best for them politically or who their friends are. So this club went through it. 20 years of cops always around the club, news stations always blasting and blaring about and glaring about the negative stuff they did, FBI watching them, blah, blah, blah. And 25 years later, guess who the president of the club is? That old guy, the old dumb guy that didn't know anything. They found that at some point they had to get a hand on reality and get their butt back to somebody who had what I call leadership maturity, not worried about thumping his chest, but worried about making the best things happen for the MC that the MC needs to have happen. And sometimes your MC has to mature to that level. Sometimes when we old guys bring the young guys in, they come in with such a force, and they can sway the temperament of the MC and sway the vote. But that old chest beating stuff, it only lasts for so long. Then folks realize that we don't get our act together, they're going to run us out of business in this town. We're not going to be able to ride around the corner because we're going to have a nightstick shoved sideways up our butt every opportunity they get. And it's all going to be because of stuff we did, stuff we allowed to happen. So All of these political things all come back to how you may be treated when you leave the club. And when you're writing me and you're saying, Black Dragon, I don't understand the disrespect. I don't have an answer for that. I don't understand it either. I can only tell you that it's there. It's there, and sometimes it's because of how you led, and sometimes it has nothing to do with that. Sometimes it's the people that are underneath you, the people that wanted to take from you what they thought you had. And one of the ways that they can do that is by muting your star. Protocol, it's absolutely within MC protocol for you to wear a retired patch. It's absolutely within MC protocol for you to wear a retired president's patch. It's absolutely within MC protocol for you to wear a founder's patch. It's absolutely within MC protocol for you to be recognized for what you've done. Absolutely. I see tons of motorcycle clubs with that. I've seen it my whole time. But trying to tell an idiot that, trying to tell somebody who's already made up their mind that they're going to mute you, and they got their little yes boys that they put together. What I smile about when I see that is those same old yes boys. Those same old guys you're training to be disrespectful to that OG, those are the same suckers you're gonna face when they surround you and put that knife in your back. When you say, Inte Brutus, yeah, that's what it takes. So to the OG that's being disrespected, I say stand your ground. I'll never forget that one brother I saw, this OG, about 65 years old with a white beard like mine. And they surrounded OCAT. And somebody says, although, let me see what that says. Although you emphasize your teachings are for the 99%, I highly recommend my guys, especially my new ones, to listen to your podcast. Respect from Texas, 1%er Cossack, Mojo. Well, I thank you for that, and I thank you for watching. And what I just always try to stay in my lane. My lane is the 99%er lane. That's the direction that I chose. And if what I say helps anyone else, I'm glad that I can do that. I will always tell people in a heartbeat, if you want to know something about 1%ers, go ask a 1%er. They always send me that in their questions. The other day a guy said, yesterday a guy said, will a 1%er take me if I'm a security guard? And I said, or an ex-security guard. And I said, well, I really don't know. You have to ask one of those guys. You have to find the club that you're interested in and just be upfront with them. I used to be a cop. I used to be a law enforcement. I used to be a security guard. Just be upfront. They'll let you know real quick what they'll take and what they won't take. I couldn't possibly help you with that. When I do talk about 1%ers at any time, it's only where it has to do with our relationship as 99%ers. Now that I can talk about, because that is what we have to do every single day. We have to operate in that world in order to be able to move out freely. So that's what we talk about. And but the other amount of this stuff, Mojo, is I guess it's just simple stuff for the world, because this stuff is the same as in church. and it's the same as in religious church. It's the same as in the boys club and the girls club. And when people get together, no matter what, they all have the same kind of things. We're all 100% human and fallible. And and this is why this subject hits so close to my heart, because as a national president, I have done so many things, good and bad. I have made so many mistakes. I've done some good stuff too, but man, I've made so many mistakes. And there are a lot of people that probably have reason within my club to hate my guts. And sometimes the hate is so magnificent, you don't know where it came from. Like, where did you hear all those lies? Everything you're saying has a basis in truth, but it has been so wildly distorted. Who told you that? Where did they come up with that? And sometimes people are just going to believe the worst things about you they possibly can. Sometimes, and people are cowards. No one will come up to you before they believe an accusation and say, Black Dragon, did you really steal the club's money? Wow. Black Dragon, did you really make the movie Biker Boys and take all the money from the club and stuff to the penny? And if people would just go ask you that, you could break out the paperwork if you gave a damn and say, no, here's the paperwork, this is what happened. And people would go, oh. And so I have found that I have to teach you, if you're listening to me, that you got to do what's right because it's right. Even Jesus Christ was hung on a cross, and he's supposed to be the most innocent guy out there. And he was hung on a cross, and he had no friends. And not one time did he whine. Not one time did he complain. Not one time did he scream, Father, get these bastards. They did me wrong. Instead, he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And I used to wonder about that. What the hell was he talking about? In my case, I would forgive them because these terrible things that they believe, they did not happen like that. That's not the way that went down. Somebody has distorted that. And I will never be able to defend myself against all of the rotten things they said. When I think about Barack Obama and this whole birther thing, there are still people out there in the world who 100% believe that he wasn't born here. Who could possibly know? No, who could possibly know? If it's as they say and it's so invisible and no one can really prove it, but you get to a point that does it matter? Does it matter? You know, and in that maybe he's the only person that knows the truth. But does it matter? You'll never be able to defend yourself against that. There are people that are going to believe that to their grave. So for me, forgive them for they know not what they do kind of means forgive them because they don't know shit about anything. Forgive them because they are incompetent and inept. And I didn't do what I have done for them to understand me or to approve of me or to give me honors. God dang, that's nice. It's nice to be celebrated. It's nice to be loved by the ones who should love you. You know, you can take a kid and you can adopt that kid and you can love them and give them the world, give them an education, give them their own bedroom, give them great food to eat, give them experiences. And they will still miss the love they didn't get from the people they were supposed to get it from. They will hate themselves because their father didn't love them. And you're like, but you have two fathers. You got me and your stepdad, and I love you to death. But this child will think that it is a poisonous cancer upon the earth because the one who was supposed to love them didn't love them. Any of you that have had children or adopted children, you know this. And it's the same way when we get older. You want the motorcycle club you gave everything for to love you. It's not enough that everybody else loves you. Whenever people see you, they go, oh, there's the OG. Hey, Black Dragon, we watch your videos all around the world, man. You're somebody. Man, if the Black Sabbath doesn't love me, the people that I sacrifice for, it just sometimes it just doesn't mean as much. You can tell me all day long, you're so great. My own people won't listen to me. My own people don't care about me. It hurts. And I want to teach you that it's like that. It's not like the disciples gathered around Jesus as he was being carried on that cross and said, we'll help you carry it, man. The guy that helped him carry it was a freaking stranger, a thief, if you believe in that story. The guy that helped him carry the cross was a thief, a stranger. Guy another guy that died next to him. I don't always get the story right, but you guys know what I'm talking about. His homies weren't there to go down with him. He got his comfort from strangers. Sometimes that's where your comfort comes from. It comes from strangers. It comes from folks who see your get down and respect it even when others don't. That's sometimes where the get down comes from. That's where the help comes from. That's where the respect comes from. So I say to you guys, you don't always get what you put out. They don't always want you to have that retirement patch on. But I'll never forget that old guy I was telling you guys about 65 years old. And for some reason, the club decided that they were going to take his patch, his lifer patch. They were going to take it off of him, the young G's. He didn't deserve it anymore. He didn't ride him. I hate a person that looks at an old cat and says, you don't ride. Dude, how do you think this club lasted 40 years? Somebody rode, and it wasn't your ass. You just got here last week. So you want to hold up everything you've done in the past year, and I'll give it to you. I didn't ride to 100 chapters in a year when I came in. We didn't have 100 chapters. We had one. But I helped build the 100. I helped build that 100. Where the hell were you? Anyone can come join a winning team. Anyone can come join a storied team. Anyone can, the Dallas Cowboys have no problem getting folks to come want to join. But who were the folks that were around when they were putting the story together? So you come walking in, you've done so much, you're so great, you're so awesome, I love you. And then you want to compare what you've done to the old school cats. You don't ride anymore. We hardly see you at the meetings. I can remember there was a time when our old clubhouse, 4280 Market Street, we rented that clubhouse for like $300 a month forever. And then the owner of it died. her kinfolk took over, the rent went up to like $1,500 a month, something like that. And for a while, there was only a few members of the club at the time, and for a while, members were paying $1,000 a month in dues. $1,000 a month in dues because they needed to. It was prime real estate, and in California, the light bill would be $500 a month, and the water bill would be three, four, $500 a month. And then if you had a business phone back then in California, it was like 20 cents a minute to talk on the phone. And we had pay phones, all kinds of stuff. These cats were paying. They were going broke paying to keep that clubhouse open. Now, 15, 20, 25 years later, you show up and you want to complain about $40 a month in dues. Or you want to say, that guy doesn't ride anymore. He doesn't belong with us. He's not a... And you don't even have an understanding that you would have had no club at all to come join 35 years later if people down the line, you don't know what they put in. You don't know what a guy's wife said when he took $800 out of their money to feed their children and put it in a damn motorcycle clubhouse. So this old guy, they decided he wasn't part of the clan anymore. It was time for him to go. He wasn't making meetings, and he wasn't doing this, and he wasn't doing that. And they surrounded that old man, and they said, give me your colors. And I mean, all the young G's wanted them colors. And by the time that man got to swinging, that old son of a bitch, and I figure I got about 50 seconds in me. I think I'm pretty good for 50 seconds. I think I can scrap with the best of them for about 50 seconds. I would say this guy had about 4 minutes in him. He hit people in God we trust. Pow! I was like, oh my God, that would have killed the average guy. And he took it back. They were swinging on that old bastard. But one thing that happened, he left that corner with those colors on his back. So, his heart was unquestioned. And them young G's dropped all that. We taking your colors. They dropped that off on that corner. Everybody had bloody noses and stuff. And he was no worse for the wear. He took it and he gave it. So that's what MCing is about. MCing is about your heart. So, OG, when they don't respect you, it's okay. Keep your heart. Wear your patches. Make them take those. Make them take. That's what you do. You make them take them. And they do themselves a greater disservice because everybody gets to see the kind of brothers they really are. When you have done great things for your MC, you don't need anybody's approval. You did them when others wouldn't and others couldn't. You did what you did because you thought you were doing the best you could, even through the mistakes you've made. Come here, this way. The protocol is always local. Protocol changes like the sands of the hourglass. Whatever jerk wants to put it down. I'm all for protocol, but I'm not for per your call. It's a saying I took from the great big cell. I'm all for protocol, but I'm not for per your call. So, yes, to answer your question, sir, there is plenty of MC protocol that allows founders and retired people to wear what they were on their vests. Lifers to wear lifer. But the best thing you can do is get that set up in your bylaws and approved by the club. So when you have to step, or you get stepped down, or you get turned over, whatever the case may be, it's there for everyone to see, and no one can step above it. There are so many clubs that need bylaw fixing, and I probably am going to do some videos on how to fix your bylaws and how to get them in order, because there are so many clubs that run into these kinds of problems because they don't do the due diligence on fixing their bylaws. And I always crack up on clubs that say, well, we just want to keep the same bylaws. Well, bylaws from 1970 don't do anything for 2020. Just doesn't work. But if it has happened to you and you're now on the outside of the power of position, you may have to just be out there alone for a while. Don't worry. Leadership is funny. It moves and changes. And you might be on the bottom right now and back on the top 8 years from now. Who knows? Carry your head high. And know you did what you did because it was the right thing to do. My mom used to always say, when you loan somebody some money, only loan them what you can afford to lose. And then, in your mind, give it as a gift. So when they don't give it back, it doesn't upset you. It was already gone. And you don't have to lose a friendship over loss of money. And I apply that to the MC world. I gave you of myself because I loved you. And I love these patches. So it's okay if I don't get it back. I gave it to you. It was not a loan. I'm Black Dragon. Listen, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me for the last 2.5 years. We're going to do some really great things in 2020 as I'm getting my new studio, and that is coming as a thanks to you guys and all of your support. You can support me on PayPal, jbunchii at AOL.com. You can support me on Cash App, $BikerPrez. You can support me on Patreon at Black Dragon National President. And you can support me by buying my books, Prospects Bible for Women's Motorcycle Clubs, the Sergeant at Arms Bible, and the Public Relations Officer's Bible, all available on Amazon and Kindle. And you can also support me by watching the commercials. When you watch the commercials, that also helps support the channel. Sharing this channel helps support this channel. And hitting the like button also supports this channel. So there were 100 people watching and only 21 likes. So that helps support the channel. All those things support us. Well, we're going to have a great New Year's. I can't wait to show you my new studio I got coming. Thanks for tuning in. That's my 2 cents. And get skinny.